Good afternoon and welcome to State NewsFile. I'm Amy Michaelis. Ryder McKay will be up next with sports, but first let's check in with Vincent Lavoie with the weather.
Hi Amy, so today is Pink Shirt Day, so that's why I'm wearing pink right now. Weather-wise, our high today in Calgary is 5 degrees, but last year it was -11, so it's kind of a difference. We were just getting out of that frisky cold snap, if you can recall back then. Our record high, though, was 20 degrees back in 1996, so that's pretty high and that's pretty recent. But the record low is the total opposite, -34 back in 1890. That's a long time ago, but that's also very cold. We'll have more weather later in the show. Amy?
Vinny, it looks great out there. I can't wait to go out and get some sunshine after this is over. But first, Ryder, our men's volleyball team has a very important weekend coming up. What are the stakes for them?
Well, Amy, it's a big one. Championship weekend out at Lethbridge. Our St. Trojans men's volleyball team will be looking for a championship. I played in a volleyball tournament once, grade 7, but I got cut right after that.
Oh, well, let's hope that doesn't happen to our volleyball team as well.
Let's hope.
Let's take a look at today's top stories. It was a busy night for city police after a man was stabbed in Calgary's Beltline district early this morning. The young victim ended up staggering down the street for help. As Austin Lee reports, this kind of thing happens a lot in the Beltline area.
A 22-year-old man was stabbed late last night at a Circle K convenience store in the city's southwest. According to the Calgary Police Service's crime and disorder statistics, the Beltline area saw 376 reported cases of non-domestic assault in 2019. Last night's incident caused quite the commotion and came as a surprise for neighboring businesses.
I was totally not expecting this. I thought it was just another ordinary day. Another stabbing downtown. Like it's getting crazy in Calgary right now. It's very close. I'm just right next door to them, right? So it's kind of freaky in that aspect.
The Circle K was open briefly this morning while a pool of blood sat on the floor in front of the counter. One customer says he wasn't bothered by the blood smeared around the store. He's just glad he didn't see the incident.
It's sad, but it's not a shock. So I think it would be more a shock, obviously, if I had seen the gentleman that, was bleeding. That would be more the shock.
Police say they followed a trail of blood from the Circle K to this apartment building on the corner of 11th and 11th. The victim is now at Foothills Medical Hospital, where he is in serious, life-threatening condition.
Others living in the apartment building find the incident unsettling, but aren't quite shocked.
I was a little terrified. I mean, this building hasn't been, and the area hasn't been, the best since we moved in. So there has been some issues just with, break-ins and stuff like that. So hearing that was definitely a little bit unnerving.
Police say they have spoken with the victim, but he has been uncooperative so far. For State NewsFile, I'm Austin Lee.
Rail traffic is back to normal in Toronto after police made arrests at a protest yesterday. The protest was part of the ongoing rail blockades across the country in support of Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs who oppose a natural gas pipeline cutting across their traditional territory. Toronto police say they arrested 3 people in the city's West End, and multiple people were charged with assault. The blockade threatened to delay morning commutes, but police say the rail line has been cleared and most commuter rail lines were running on time or with minor delays. The Alberta government has spoken out against the protests and is planning to introduce new penalties for Alberta protesters to fight back against the blockades. Canadian miner Teck Resources has announced it will be dropping plans for its controversial Frontier oil sands project in Alberta. The project was estimated to have cost $20.6 billion, and Teck had promised it would create 7,000 construction jobs and 2,500 ongoing jobs to operate the mine. It was projected to also generate $70 billion in tax revenue during its lifetime. The mine has gone through nearly a decade of regulatory review, and a decision by the Liberal cabinet was expected at the end of this week to mark the final stage in the drawn-out process. Teck Chief Executive Don Lindsay said that the company made the decision after blockades and protests that are currently happening across the country, and that the Frontier project put his company in the middle of deep-lying tensions in Canada. It's that project and several others that were the focus of a conference this morning in Calgary. A Northern Alberta Aboriginal band is about to get an infusion of cash from the province. Premier Jason Kenney has approved a new fund to support Indigenous communities. And first up will be the Woodland Cree First Nation in Northern Alberta. Reynaldo Suarez joins us live from the SAIT newsroom. Reynaldo, what exactly does this fund do?
Well, Amy, a conference on Indigenous participation this morning in Calgary was focusing on ways to get more engagement in Aboriginal communities. During the conference, Premier Jason Kenney announced that the Woodland Cree First Nation will receive more than $187,000. The money will help support the nation after it lost the Big Tech Resources project.
I'm very pleased to announce today that the first recipient of financial support from Alberta's Indigenous Litigation Fund is Alberta's Woodland Cree First Nation.
The Indigenous Litigation Fund is a government commitment to help groups with Indigenous memberships voice their support for resource development. Contrary to what might be popular belief, not all Indigenous groups are against resource development. For many, responsible natural resource development presents an important economic stream to keep people working and funds flowing to support communities with social and economic programs. The conference comes just days after Tech Resources canceled the Frontier mining project, which would have brought millions of dollars to the northern Alberta community.
Canada, with 178 billion barrels of proven and probable reserves of crude oil, most of that situated in this province. That energy has a current notional global market value of $10 trillion.
When we think, for example, of the recent decision by Teck to not move forward with the Frontier mining decision that I know is incredibly disappointing to the 14 Indigenous communities that had signed benefits agreements and were looking forward to the prosperity that that project could bring, as well as disappointing to all of us in Alberta.
The conference highlighted First Nations' involvement in major energy projects in Alberta and gives both partners and investors in future projects the opportunity to meet, engage, and discuss with Indigenous community members.
There's a lot happening in this world and we'll have challenges, but at the end of the day, we're all here for one common goal. We want to work together. We want to be a part of our economies. We want to support each other.
Teck says the $20 billion project was canceled due to climate change concerns. Amy?
Thanks, Reynaldo. Reynaldo Suarez reporting live from the SAIT newsroom. For some environmental groups, the decision is a win and will reduce greenhouse gas emissions and allow for a conversation about the way Alberta produces energy. COVID-19 continues to spread worldwide, and it's becoming more difficult to contain despite many countries' efforts. In Italy, 6 people have died after the country's cases jumped more than 200. South Korea has identified 763 cases with 7 dead. Iran has reported 43 cases and 8 deaths. The World Health Organization has said that while it's still too early to declare COVID-19 as a pandemic, the sudden outbreaks in Italy, Iran, and South Korea are deeply concerning. China has reported about 7,700 cases of COVID-19 and over 2,000 deaths. China's underappreciated lockdown and restrictions may have blunted the virus and averted hundreds of thousands of cases, but the virus continues to spread with more and more countries reporting first cases. Worldwide, there have been 81,294 confirmed cases, almost 3,000 deaths, and over 30,000 recovered. In Canada, there have been 12 confirmed cases. Amendments to the Gaming, Liquor and Cannabis Act, known as Bill 2, were announced today in hopes of modernizing a number of Alberta liquor laws. The amendments include providing a single streamlined process for municipalities and Métis settlements to respond to an application for a liquor license in a community that does not already have one. This will allow communities to have the same autonomy as others across the province. It will also reduce restrictions on liquor consumption in parks and allow municipalities to determine whether public consumption of alcohol without food will be allowed in their picnic areas and parks. The bill is hopeful to promote responsible drinking in parks and cut unnecessary red tape within the province. The bill introduced 5 amendments, including liquor consumption in parks, liquor license approvals with the removal of prohibition areas, conditions on licenses, and liquor as a raffle prize. Election time is around the corner here at SAIT. The process is currently in the run phase as SAITSA receives nominations from interested students who wish to run as candidates for one of the available 4 positions. Chimizi Uguru gives us a sense of how the organizers are preparing and the level of student awareness about this election.
Elections into SAITSA's Executive Council happens once a year. The process provides students with the rare opportunity to test their acceptability among their peers and a chance to represent them on the council. For those with future political intentions, standing in students' elections can be a launching platform for their political careers.
So this election is about selecting the executive council, so the president and the vice presidents of the student association. The run phase is just, again, that kind of time period where they can decide whether or not they want to run and then start their campaigning process.
So far, only 7 candidates have indicated their interest to contest the available 4 seats. It is down by 1 from last year and 7 short of the Board of Directors election last semester, an indication that either students are unaware or totally lack interest in the process.
You know, I just see the posters and there's when they, run for council and stuff like that, and I don't really know anything about who's running. When they ask me to vote, I just pick random.
I've heard. It's a necessary evil. You need to know what's going on in your community and in your school too.
Creating the right incentive to motivate participation definitely becomes the focus.
We also have volunteers that go out and speak to students, and as staff we also speak to the students that we work with on a regular basis. We try to encourage them to run, and during voting days especially, we all of the staff get involved and we start encouraging students to vote. So we'll speak.
As the 6th Executive Council elections approaches, a lot of awareness will be required in the coming days to ensure increased interest on the parts of students. Certainly, SETA has its work cut out. For SETA NewsFile, I'm Chimezie Oguru.
You may see a lot of pink today around our campus as February 26th is Pink Shirt Day. Many cities in Canada are taking a stand against bullying by wearing the color pink. As Kiara Lentz reports, this year marks the 13th year since the anti-bullying movement started.
Pink Shirt Day became an anti-bullying movement in 2007 after a grade 9 boy from Nova Scotia was bullied for wearing a pink shirt to school. 2 older students organized a high school protest and purchased 50 pink shirts for other students to wear in support of the boy. SAIT was in support of Pink Shirt Day today as they handed out free pink Rice Krispie squares and educated students on bullying. Today with the internet, cyberbullying is a growing concern.
The focus is online because that's where a lot of it does happen. There's a lot of people who say things online because they'll never see that person face to face, and it does not make it okay. It still can be upsetting for the person on the other end.
The longer a child is bullied, the more likely they are to develop physical, psychological, and emotional scars that can last a lifetime.
Bullying doesn't just affect young children. 40% of Canadian workers said they experience bullying on a weekly basis.
Kevin Diaz says he was bullied a lot in elementary school, especially coming from a different country and not knowing English very well. But he says rather than defeating him, it has only helped him grow.
It just made me more aware of other people and just kind of make me not judge them so quickly, just because I've also been judged.
Pink Shirt Day raises awareness as well as funds to support programs that foster children's healthy self-esteem.
Lift each other up, say nice things, give positive comments, encouraging comments, give people compliments rather than putting them down or saying something negative.
Everyone has experienced bullying at some point in their lives, whether they were a victim, a bully themselves, or a bystander. Intervention plays a huge part in stopping the bullying cycle. For SAIT NewsFile, I'm Kiara Lentz.
Those are today's top stories. We'll have your full forecast after the break. But first, Vincent Lavoie has a look at what's going on around Calgary this week.
Gather at Stage West in Southeast Calgary for The Outsider, a comedy play about North American politics. The event is recurring until April 19 and tickets are on sale at Stage West's official website. Calgary is hosting the 2020 Home and Garden Show. Over 350 exhibitors will be part of the show this weekend. People can save $2 per ticket when ordering them online on the event's official website. The Inglewood Community Center hosts the YYC Alternative Market. There is no admission fee and people can shop and buy from local businesses. If you want to taste some wine and you're over 18 years of age, you can go to the Mackenzie Town Hall in the city's southeast this Friday. Tickets are on sale on Eventbrite. Johnny C's Co-op Wine Spirits Beer is holding its Spring Madness Festival where people over 18 can taste different liquors celebrating the soon-to-come arrival of spring season. This year's edition of Calgary Snow Festival will take place this Saturday at the Knoxville Tavern in downtown Calgary. The tickets are also on sale on Eventbrite.
When you donate to the Salvation Army, you're not just donating a coat, you're donating another warm night for someone that needs it. When you donate to the Salvation Army, you're giving someone hope. So why wait? Give hope today.
Come and learn the fast-paced world of television production. Find your passion to write, shoot, edit, and direct news, sports, and dramatic productions. With industry-standard technology and the best instructors in the business, SAIT's television production program teaches you everything you need to know for a career in broadcasting. This is television production. Come and dare to be on air.
So today is Pink Shirt Day in Canada, and you know they were holding a lot of events across the country, and so a lot of rallies. Let's see if the weather was good enough for them to hold them outside. So on the western part of the country in Vancouver, they had just rain earlier today. Now it's cloudy and 8 degrees, not too bad. In Edmonton, the sky is going to get overcast overnight, but it's going to clear up soon. We'll have a look at that later. And Regina and Winnipeg, as we head to the middle of the country, the jet stream is having its usual path there, and that creates a bit of colder weather down there. In the eastern part of the country, in Toronto, there's a snowfall warning going on right now, 15 to 25 centimeters of snow, and that's going to last until tomorrow morning. Same thing for Montreal, but that's 10 to 20 centimeters of snow, so not too bad. And St. John's and Halifax, they're going to get some low pressure system and a cold front, but if you're not a fan of that, let's have a look at the resorts.
Most of the resorts will remain mostly sunny with warm temperatures over the next few days. Some thunderstorms down in Cancun, but the temperatures will remain optimal. Honolulu will remain warm but also cloudy and rainy. Orlando will have lower temperatures but will remain sunny. Sin City remains calm and sunny with temperatures between 16 and 23 degrees.
In Calgary today, it's 5 degrees, and the sky has a mix of sun and clouds. The wind blows from the west at 20 kilometers an hour, and for the next few days, we're expecting warmer temperatures. Now, as we look at the province, there's going to be a high-pressure system that's going to kick in tomorrow morning, and the only spot that's not going to have a taste of it is Fort Mac. They're going to have some rain, some snow as well, some clouds for sure. And our high spots today are Calgary and Lethbridge together. Lethbridge just went down with some precipitations, but not too bad. And so everything is going to clear up pretty soon. And Banff, you know, they're having a chance of flurries until tomorrow. Now, as we look at the 5-day forecast for Calgary, tonight we're expecting a low of 0 degree with a partly cloudy sky. And tomorrow and Friday, it's 9 degrees and sunnier than right now, so we can ask for more. And as we look for the weekend, a little bit of colder temperatures, a bit of rain on Saturday, but not too bad, 6 degrees and 2 degrees respectively. So now let's have a look at let's see how the slopes are doing in Alberta and British Columbia.
Small snowfall yesterday and received just a centimeter of snow. All the lifts are open and just 7 tracks are currently closed. Not the sunniest day in Lake Louise, but the winds are calm and the temperatures goes down to minus 18. There are no snowfall in the last 24 hours, but some snow is in the forecast. All the lifts are open and only 3 tracks are currently closed. Still cloudy at Mount Norquay, but the temperatures are cold enough to enjoy a good ride with minus 18. 5 centimeters of snow accumulated in the last 24 hours. All tracks and lifts are open. In British Columbia, Panorama Mountain also received a single centimeter of snow yesterday, but more is underway as snow is expected today. Fernie did not receive snow in the last 24 hours, but there is a 300 centimeter snow base. Portler Peak is now open to the public, and skiing is only permitted on the west side. Revelstoke received 3 centimeters of snow yesterday, and even more is underway. There is only 1 track that's currently closed. All lifts are open.
So, Ryder, the Flames, you know, they've had a pretty rocky season so far. They've had a lot of ups, a lot of downs, haven't been doing too well recently, but they did have a beautiful win against Boston last night. Who do you think really stood out for you in last night's game?
Well, Matthew Tkachuk, you know, as he has been all year, the Flames' best player, really caught my eye once again. You know, I'll get to him in a little bit. The men's volleyball squad hits Highway 3 today and head out to Lethbridge to begin the championship tournament. The weekend starts off tonight with a game against the Keano College Huskies. The Trojans have been on the wrong side in recent matches with Keano dating back to early January, dropping both of their last meetings 3-2. However, it's not all bad, as in the standings the Trojans finished the regular season just 4 points behind KC and lost by only 1 set in the last 2 meetings. The Trojans will be looking to paint the U of L court red and white and bring back with them a title. After clinching the final playoff seed in the ACAC, the SAIT women's Trojans hockey team will be up against the number 1 seeded MacEwan University Griffins. For a few Trojans players, this final stretch will be their very last opportunity to play hockey in the ACAC. Logan Stein has the details.
The SAIT Trojans women's hockey team is in unfamiliar territory as it clinched the final playoff seed in the ACAC. For fifth-year player Misty Seastrom, this is not an opportunity she takes for granted.
Oh, this is huge. There's a couple of us that is our last year, and some that haven't even been named because they graduate in 2-year programs, and it's just like massive for us to like finish off our seasons and our careers with a playoff win.
The Trojans typically lose between 6 to 8 players every year, so to have players like Tashel Scantlebury, Misty Seastrom, and Carmen Mooney, who are in their 5th and final year of ACAC eligibility, they bring more to the team than just their talent. Scantlebury and Mooney might have similar roles, but how they display leadership is not the same.
Well, Tash is really a good leader. She can talk to everybody. She keeps an even keel. And Carmen is kind of like an emotional leader. She's very upbeat all the time and works really hard. So they're kind of different personalities.
For assistant captain Carmen Mooney, she knows that less experienced players will be forced to step up.
It's just like relating to them with our previous years, because it really feels like yesterday when we were the ones on the bench watching our veteran players have those last couple minutes and having the games on their stick, and just knowing that, telling them that they will get their time. As long as you put that hard work in, next year and the year after when we're not there, somebody's going to need to step up into those leadership spots, and they're open for the taking as of now, right?
The SAIT Trojans women's hockey team hasn't made the playoffs since 2016-2017, and with most of the roster never having experienced ACAC playoff hockey, it's going to be a very new experience for them. They look to kick off the action in the first round of the series against the MacEwan University Griffins tomorrow night in Edmonton. For SAIT NewsFile, I'm Logan Stein.
The Calgary Flames made a pit stop in Boston last night, fresh off Monday's trade deadline, where they added 2 pieces. In the opening moments until halfway through the first, Flame star Matthew Tkachuk follows up on the rebound off the boards and puts home his 21st of the season. Fast forward to the second period when Milan Lucic turnover, Brad Marchand coming in on a breakaway, you know the rest. Just a few short minutes later, the Flames respond with Sean Monahan letting go a one-timer in the high slot on a nice feed from the one and only Johnny Hockey. Monahan's first of 2 in Beantown. Newcomer Eric Gustafsson got involved in the action, picking up an assist on Monahan's second. Nice puck movement by the Flames there. In front of friends and family, Bruins backup goalie Yaroslav Halak was honored before the opening faceoff for his 500th NHL game. The Flames pick up an important 2 points in this one as they chase a wildcard spot in the Western Conference with just under 20 games to go in the campaign. School isn't the only thing students are grappling with heading into March. Hundreds of athletes around Calgary have geared up for the annual High School City Wrestling Championships. My good friend Carlos Tog joins us live from the Bishop Grandin High School gym. Carlos, what's been happening at those city championships?
Well, Ryder, the women have geared up for the city championships today, and to see who's going to move on to the provincials in March. Athletes from nearly 20 different schools in Calgary came to compete today, but only a select few are going to be able to make it to that level. Yesterday was dedicated to the male competitors, but let's see if they can try and bring home some gold just like the women.
As wrestling season comes to an end, Calgary's annual city championships begin, as hundreds of athletes strap up their singlets and prepare to take down the competition. The championships are taking place at Bishop Grandin High School, with the male athletes competing on February 25th and the females on the 26th to try and qualify for the upcoming provincial championships.
Some of the
competitors from here will go on to provincials in a couple weeks, and that's being hosted here in Calgary as well. So that opportunity, a team of one can make a big difference, because you might only be an athlete of one. They might not win the banner, but they might bring a lot of accolades and glory to their school and their teams just by competing for themselves.
The Calgary City Championships showcase hundreds of talented athletes, and moving on to the provincial level will see an increase in competition, which means many wrestlers will have to eliminate any weaknesses in their game. One of the wrestlers in the tournament, Ethan Rue, talks about what he feels his weaknesses are and how he plans to improve upon it.
For me, I feel like standing, because mostly through middle school, it was all about learning how to ground wrestle. But now I feel like I'm not good enough at standing wrestling.
The opportunity to move on to the provincial championships is something young wrestlers haven't always had the chance to achieve. Smaller schools in Calgary often don't have a wrestling program, and this can prove to be difficult for aspiring wrestlers to try and get footing in the sport. Rue also talks about how he's seen wrestling grow in his community and what it means to be in the championship finals.
Well, it means a lot, considering I've been wrestling since grade 7, and they never had anything this big back then. So it shows how much the progression is throughout your school career.
The provincial championships are going to take place on March 13th and the 14th, and we're going to see the finalists from today go on to the national championships. But right now, I'm going to go cheer on some of the female athletes and hopefully join this crazy hot crowd. Back to you, Ryder.
Well, Carlos, you're certainly somebody I wouldn't want to wrestle. Carlos reporting live from the Bishop Grandin High School gym. Then that's a look at sports.
You could just hear the energy in that gymnasium.
You could.
For these young athletes, you can tell that this is probably one of the most important days they've had to date, and it's definitely very nice to see. Those are today's top stories. Up next, we have something out of this world right after the break.
How does this dog look to you? Or this kitten? They're happy, and yet they're homeless, staying with another family until they find you. ARF has helped give over 2,500 animals forever homes. Why not be the net? Help us help them. You rescue, I rescue. ARF, caring for those in need.
Come and learn the breaking world of broadcast news. Find your passion to investigate, write, shoot, edit, and deliver the stories of the day. SAIT's broadcast news program teaches you everything you need to know for a career in radio and television. Become the next great anchor, reporter, or personality using industry-standard technology alongside qualified instructors with years of experience. This is Broadcast News. Come and dare to be on air.
Do you ever think about how infinite space really is? Some people do, and spend a lifetime to fuel their passion for it. And the stars we see. Phoenix Smith has more.
Stars. And space. Astrophysics shines light on a lot of what we can't see. But some astronomers, like Victoria Johnson, wish people knew how it affects us.
Especially now that cities are growing and light pollution is becoming more and more of a problem for astronomers to be able to view the night sky, as well as the proliferation of satellites around Earth that make it sometimes impossible for you to get good images of the night sky to be able to study.
With infinite possibilities to explore, the excitement of being able to look at colors and know what compound they are keep people like Caitlin Hubenig hooked on astrophysics.
I'm looking to do a niche in astrochemistry and look at the composition between stars, intergalactic medium, interstellar medium.
Jason Nishiyama believes there's no right way for science to go. It's the puzzle that always grows and offers us new possibilities and questions to answer.
The universe is a wonderful place, and a lot of beautiful things are out there, and we don't, as a society, put a lot of emphasis on things that aren't close in the here and now. I like to point out to people is when Maxwell came up with his famous 6 equations back in the 1800s.
Thank you for watching SAIT NewsFile. Be sure to tune in tomorrow.